Hi everyone, welcome back. So I thought I should share about big ticket items that we generally will buy, which is a house, right? So I just want to share the home buying process in South Africa, because many people obviously are looking to own homes. Those who are not, it's all good, right? So it is one of the big ticket items I consider. I don't know about you, because generally we will not save up to buy it cash, right? We'll probably go to a banking institution in order for us to get a home through the bond or in other countries mortgage loan, right? So just some things to consider when buying a home, because many people, especially now with the interest rates going up, right, they're getting surprised by the interest rate because it's something that they did not consider, right, as they were buying a home. So firstly, there's the process of pre-approval. Firstly, no, before pre-approval. Pre-approval, obviously you go around looking for homes, right? You know maybe which area you want to stay. Perhaps you know the size of your family, you know what you're looking for, right? So probably you go through that process, but bear in mind that before you do that, right, perhaps it's best to know, okay, what would be something that I can afford, right? There is a pre-approval process where you can submit your details in terms of your income, your expenditure, and just for consideration. And then the pre-approval process will then say you can afford to be borrowed this amount of money, right? Caution around that, right? So if they say to you, for example, you can afford a million rand house, I would caution against saying go straight to buying a million rand house because of the hidden costs that come with owning a house, right? So in South Africa, if your home that you're going to be purchasing is 1.1 million and above, there is something called transfer duties which you'll need to pay over and above other costs, right? So there's transfer duties. Then, with any home that you buy, there are costs that come with it. So, what will happen is the seller of the home will have an attorney set aside, right? And if you then go to a bank and say, for example, I found a home of this and this amount, or you've now gone through the pre-approval process, you found something that is within the range that you feel that you can afford, then you go to them and you ask for a specific amount, right, as a loan amount for your house. What happens then is they then need to assign you an attorney. You will choose an attorney close to where you reside, probably at the time, because obviously it will be easy to travel to, or you will decide what works best for you, because they will send you a list of attorneys that you can use from the bank side. So there's a bank attorney, and then there's an attorney of the actual seller. Now, both these attorneys, there's a cost that goes to them, right? So you can access online platforms where you can calculate even perhaps the bank site, or if you use one of those bond approvers, they can actually calculate for you what more or less you probably be paying in terms of the costs for the attorneys. So those are the things you need to consider. You will be making payment to the seller's attorney and to the attorney of the bank. So those are amounts. It's obviously calculated according to the house that you're buying, but that's one of the costs that you need to consider. Then, if you are actually, whether you're staying in a complex, whether you're staying in a standalone house, there are municipal rates that are charged monthly. That is an additional cost. If you can, as you look around for houses, try to figure out how much more or less those municipal costs are so that you can put it in consideration as you calculate your budget for this new cost that's coming upon you, right? And then obviously there's electricity charges, which is either prepaid in some places it's obviously a monthly charge as a bill, right? So that's something to consider. Again, be comfortable to ask the agent or the seller, because obviously you'll meet the seller at some point because you go and view the home. Be comfortable enough to maybe find out from them how much more or less are you paying. It might not be a standard amount for, but at least you can gauge that okay, electricity will generally cost me this much or whatever. It obviously depends on your usage and maybe how many you are who are coming into the home. So that's another one. If you are then moving to a communal property like a complex, right? There are levies that you need to consider as well. So even there, be comfortable enough to ask how much are the levies more or less, so that at least you can have an idea of the full cost that you'll be paying. Because the full cost includes your payments to your bank as well, right? You've got your monthly payment to the bank for the bond or for the amount that they've borrowed to buy the house, right? So you've got that. Communal property has levies. I think a standalone property also has levies that are charged as well. I stand to be corrected, but they're probably not as steep as if you're staying in a communal property, right? There are levies, there are municipal rates that are charged monthly. So that in addition to your bond payment that you're paying. But before you even get into the home and your home is registered, there are attorney fees that you are paying. You're paying to the seller's attorney and to the bank's attorney. So take into consideration those things. So hence, in the beginning, I say I would caution against, say, for example, once you get your pre-approval for 1 million, that you just go for a house that is 1 million and above, or 1 million. It's just that you go straight for the a million rand house. I'd probably caution against that because obviously there are these additional charges that come with your monthly payment of the bond, right? And then if it's 1.1 million, there's an additional one. I think it's tax duties, actually, not transfer duties, because transferring is transfer costs for the attorneys, but there's a tax duty that goes towards SARS. If your house is 1.1 million, it was initially 1 million. The change happened this year, early this year. The change happened that it's now 1.1 million and above that needs to be taxed, or money that goes to SARS over and above attorney fees that you will be paying. So don't lose the opportunity to get a house because you didn't take into consideration, especially the attorney costs, because they are steep. They are a steep amount, right? And I know there are some people who then add it to their bond amount, so get borrowed more from the bank. But probably what you can do, I think, like I mentioned before, you're paying off debt, right? And then you've now got this, you've now paid off all your debt and you've now got this amount that's there. You've managed to live without it. So if you can just use that as your saving, so you keep saving that amount. So if, for example, your debts amounted to 6,000, let's say, for example, your debts amounted to 6,000, you've managed to maybe pay them all off. You now got the 6,000 that is just there for you. Rather keep living without it, put it into a separate savings account that then can help you to be able to save towards these fees that come before actually owning a home, right? So those are just some of the considerations. Like I said, it's attorney fees, consider the levies that you have to pay, consider the municipal rates, and then also remember, you are, like, once you have a home, you are now the landlord. You can't say, like in a rental property, you're able to say, I'm calling the landlord or the owner or the manager of the place. You can't necessarily do that if something breaks within the house. So those things are happening that are there. Like, for example, a geyser burst or a fridge or what, like anything that happens within the house, or plugs or what, like think of everything that is considered within a house, bathroom, bedroom, whatever. If something breaks, it's on you. You are now the landlord. So that's also a cost in and of itself, right? And as we've seen the interest rate rise rapidly through, like, it's been rising after the COVID. So when COVID period kind of slowed down and now things were back to normal, the interest keeps going up. So what will happen is, if, for example, you've bought your home now, you've now been approved by the bank, you're now registered, what has been happening is, even with cars, if your interest is not fixed, right, which is highly unlikely, especially with a house, what has been happening is you'll find that, for example, you were paying, let's say you bought a home that costs you a charge of like 4,000 a month, hypothetically, costs you 4,000 a month. What might be happening then is, as the interest rate goes up, the monthly amount goes up. So you might say, okay, for example, I've budgeted 4,000 for the bond. It might be more by the end of the year, or even as it keeps progressing, it keeps going up. So consider that, will I be able to afford what I'm buying now? If the interest rate keeps going up as it has been already, we've seen it keeps going up. It keeps getting steeper in terms of what our monthly obligations, food, everything is, a lot of things are going up because our repo rate is going up, interest rate is going up. So you'll find that you're not paying, you might have budgeted 4,000 a month, but maybe now, as time goes on, you sit at 5,000 a month. Consider those things. Will I be able to pay it if it goes up? Will I be able to pay it if it goes up by 3,000 or whatever it is? So those are the considerations that you need to have as you go for this specific big ticket item, which is a house. So what I've shared is just the South African considerations as you buy a home in South Africa. I'm not sure about other countries. So there are attorney fees, there might be tax duties that you need to pay, there are levies that you might need to pay, there are municipal rates which have to be paid. I think it's by square meter, also dustbin, like this. You are now the landlord, so there are so many things that you need to pay over and above your money that you will be asking the bank to borrow you. So consider all of that as you look for a home, and as you go out there, go out with an amount that you know, okay, if I get a house of this much, I will be able to afford it. And if it happens to go up by however much, I'll still be able to afford it. So just have those considerations, and just know that attorney fees come before your home is registered or before you actually granted. So you will be granted the loan, sorry. You will be approved by the bank. However, these are the fees that you need to pay before you actually go into your home. So yeah, I hope this helps somebody. And I hope you can share it to somebody else if they are looking to buy a home in the near future. I hope it's helpful. See you on the next one.